Next, we'll take a look at the case of Danny Shively. On June 3rd, 2012, Danny Shively, a loving father of three, was on his way to check on his girlfriend at work. He was on his motorcycle, sitting at an intersection at red light, when a car sped through the intersection, crashed into Danny and his motorcycle, and then fled the scene. Danny suffered serious injuries and actually died at the scene. Here's his story.
He was my baby. He was my only son and my light.
He was so cute. He was just little and skinny, and he had these big, huge cheeks when he smiled.
He loved his PlayStation. He loved to be with his friends. He was Batman and Spider-Man. He was Superman on a tricycle. He was a little boy.
Danny was never one to sit in the back of the room and be quiet the whole time, you know. He wanted to make friends with everybody. He was always standing up for the kids that other people made fun of.
He would do anything for anyone. Any one of his friends could call him. They could be 100 miles away, broke down on the side of the road, and he'd be the first one to jump in a car.
When he met Joanna is when everything about him kind of changed.
He said to me, I met the most beautiful girl. Mom, you gotta see her. And he told me, I'm in love with her. At his high school love, we're together until he passed. Well, they have 3 children. We talk about him all the time. I try to keep his memory alive for them. You know, I say his name all the time, you know, and I miss him, and so do they.
The weekend that it happened, the alternator went out in the Blazer, so I had stopped there after work, and I had brought the part to him, and I sat there with him for like 20 minutes. We just kind of sat and talked, and I gave him a hug and a kiss and told him I loved him, and I left.
I was staying with them, I was helping, you know, keep things organized. They were young, 3 little kids. Joanna was getting ready to go to work, and Daniel had texted me. He was on his way home from work. If Joanna wanted something from Taco Bell, he was gonna stop at Taco Bell and get the kids some tacos. I got the kids all fed and helped him give them a bath and helped Daniel straighten up the house and get everything organized, got the kids in bed. And he said, I'm gonna go up and check on her, you know, make sure that when she closes, everything is fine, you know, because it's late.
It was around 3:13 a.m. Our officers were dispatched to the area of Calumet Avenue and Harrison for a motorcycle and car collision. The caller of the incident advised that she was stopped at a traffic light waiting to make a left-hand turn onto Harrison Avenue when a vehicle believed to be either a black or dark gray Scion struck the motorcycle that was in the lane next to her, also going southbound. She described that the vehicle did not slow or stop after striking the motorcycle. Officers arrived immediately to the area and observed that Daniel Shively had been tossed from his motorcycle some feet away from the impact, causing injury to himself and damaging the motorcycle.
Joanna came in and she woke me up and asked me if I knew where Daniel was. And I said, no. He said he was gonna come check on you. Did he come up there? And she said, yeah, but he said he was gonna stop at BP, you know, and get something to drink and come home. She said, well, I'm gonna go see if he's up at BP. Maybe he ran into a friend. As she came down the street we live off of 213th to Calumet, when she got to Calumet, she could see the emergency vehicles. The police had the area blocked off. She seen his motorcycle laying in the road, and
my fiance woke me up in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. And all he would say to me is, honey, you gotta get up, we have to go right now. But I knew the second he said that to me that way, I knew something was wrong. The only thing he could look at me and say to me was that he was dead. I remember just getting up and walking away and going outside and just screaming as loud as I could.
No parent should have to hear that inevitable knock at 4 o'clock in the morning on their door.
But I never thought I would bury my little brother.
In the early morning hours of Sunday, June 3rd, 2012, Daniel Shively was riding his motorcycle and had stopped at the intersection of southbound Calumet and Harrison Avenue. While waiting for the light to turn green, a offending vehicle was traveling also southbound, struck Daniel in the rear of his motorcycle, propelling him forward, causing injury to himself, which he later succumbed to his injuries. The offending vehicle had left the scene, last seen traveling southbound on Calumet Avenue.
I remember thinking this just is a nightmare. And when do you wake up? It is something that nobody can fix and nobody can fill. No family deserves to go through this type of pain.
Dyer investigators contacted the Lake County Coroner's Office and also the Lake County Crime Lab, and there also was contacted the Lake County traffic crash investigators to do a reconstruction of the scene. There was some debris that was strewn throughout the roadway, where then investigators photographed the area and were able to put together a reconstruction of what actually occurred. Dyer detectives looked up several local body shops. We scoured throughout the lake and adjoining areas to see if anyone had brought any such vehicle for some possible front-end damage that had just occurred. There was no vehicles that were found matching that description. We went to many different residents trying to determine whether this vehicle was in fact involved in our crash, to no avail.
Shortly after everything happened, me and Joanna got a house together so that she could kind of have, a little help with the kids all the time. But they never really talked about it, the kids. I think kids have their own strange way of dealing with things like that.
My grandson is an emotional mess because he will never forget. He will never forget the love that he had for his daddy. Daniel's oldest daughter, she's become secluded. I mean, he was her daddy. He was her everything. He didn't get to see her first day of kindergarten, and that crushed her. And Phoebe is never going to have a memory, his baby girl, just the memories that we give to her. And it will never be the same. It will never be the same.
At this time, the Dyer Police and the Lake County Sheriff's Department have no further leads to act upon, and we're asking for the public's help.
If somebody had some information just coming forward, they could contact the Dyer, Indiana Police Department. This is a piece of my family that's missing. How can you leave a family in limbo and 3 little children with no answer?
The suspect vehicle is described as a black or dark gray 2-door coupe Scion, possibly between 2005-2008 year. It's going to have extensive front-end damage. The airbags may or may not have been deployed.
To give 3 little kids just closure. I'm not asking for a miracle. He didn't deserve this. His family didn't deserve it, and his kids don't deserve to have to live a life without knowing.
If you have any information about this accident, you can contact the Dyer Police Department at area code 219-865-1163 or the Lake County Sheriff's Department.
There is a reward. It's offered by the Law Tigers. It's a $10,000 reward.
Please say something. Speak up and stop being afraid. Just don't be afraid.
He didn't get to walk one of his children to their first day at kindergarten. He will not get to walk one of his children down the aisle when they get married. He's not going to get to see the excitement of them graduate from school or college. He's not going to see them grow up to be the people he wants them to be. But I will. And I will make sure that they are okay.